to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. Okay then, so to put the parsnips in the ground, what I've got is two lines about a foot or so apart. Ground's really well dug over, rotavated, so it's nice and fine. I've got out as many stones as I possibly can do, so it's ideal for the parsnips. Now I've put some manure and that into and grass cuttings into the ground, so it should hold the moisture quite well. So I'll just put the three sets of seeds into the ground. Okay, so I'm going to put three sets of seeds in, as I've already said. First one is White Gem from Ulluco's. Second one is Gladiator F1 from Johnson's, and the third one is Hollow Crown from Country Value Seeds. So all you need to do really is get the seed. As I say, I've put some drills down. All I've done is I've just gone down my hand like that and effectively made a groove in the soil, if you like, which is about 1 inch or so deep. Now what I'm going to do now is very gently tap in the seed from the seed packet. Now this normally goes horribly wrong for me, but all you need to do is get the packet like that and just tap in, and you want to seed every there you go, there's 4 dropped out there. You need to touch the seed the least amount as possible, and that's the best bit of advice I can give you. But by the look of it, I'm not going to succeed doing it this way. If you get a piece of paper, what you can do is do like a seed dispenser. But what I'll do is I've got about half the seed there, and I'll just sprinkle them in by hand. I have just washed my hands, so they are as clean as they possibly can be. So I'm going to put a seed in about every 3 or 4 inches, and then I'm going to go back with the other varieties and put in exactly the same place a seed between these, and hopefully at least one of the varieties will germinate. So I'm going in about every 3 or 4 inches with a seed. There are a couple of seeds dropping in places. Then I'll just repeat that all the way down the row, and then I'll come back and Dorothy's going to put the soil in after for me. Okay, so now all 3 types of seeds in. What I need to do is just cover them, and I do that just by breaking up bits of soil like that, and then just knocking the soil back into the groove like that with your hand. It's quite easy to do. All the way to the end. Now all the seeds are in those 2 rows. All I need to do is give them a bit of water. Okay, so all I've done now is just put some plastic over the top of the 2 rows of parsnips, weigh them down with some of the fence pins from Black Country Pins, and that'll hold it down. Now what that'll do is it'll keep the moisture in, and it'll also keep the ground warm. So even though we're having a bit of cold weather, that'll stop it from getting too cold, and hopefully will improve the germination. Okay, so putting the last gourd in now. So I've put, as you know, I've put in the woolly bear gourds, and I've put all obviously the pumpkins and the I'll put the pumpkins, the courgettes, the courgettes and all the rest of it, butternut squashes, and the birdhouse gourds. Now these ones I've had shipped in from Singapore. I don't know if you can see, but these are ivy gourds. Now these are edible gourds. They grow on a vine, much like the birdhouse gourds do. You know, so they kind of climb up structures and stuff like that, trees or whatever else, and then you get these little gourds which are about sort of 5 or 6 inches long, and in there you get they're like sort of small, I guess somewhere between a courgette and a cucumber kind of thing, and there's a very edible. They're grown quite a lot in Asian countries, so I thought I'd grow some of these this year. So again, all you need to do is grab the seed on the edge like that and push it in around sort of 2 inches like that. So I'm going to grow 8 plants to see what we get. And so push it in about 2 inches. I'm just need another couple of seeds. That's one. I'll get one out. There you go, 3 come out there. And then I'm just going to put the last 2 in like that. What you could do is potentially put 2 seeds in each pot and then take out the weakest one, where I'm just going to put 1 seed in. So they're going to be growing in the greenhouse now. All you need to do is just not too hard, but just firm the soil down like that, and that's really just to make sure that the soil is in contact with the seed. Give them a really good watering. Obviously put a nameplate in like that, so we know what they are, and I'll just have these on the side in the greenhouse, grow them on, and I'll show you what they look like in a couple of weeks when they start to show. But basically they're going to look something like that when they first come through. So you're going to have the 2 seed leaves like that, and then the true leaves will start to grow like that, and then as soon as they get to there, the roots start to come out the bottom, and then off they go, and then they'll grow really quickly. So I'll show these in a couple of weeks time as soon as they've started to grow. Okay, so the next seeds are Safflower. I don't know if you can see that. Safflower. Now these plants are quite possibly one of the oldest plants grown by humans that we know. They date back to the kind of 12th dynasty, so you know, way back into the sort of Egyptian times. And there were actually traces of this plant found in Tutankhamun's burial chamber, so we know that it was most certainly used for that. And it's been used for a number of purposes. You can use the seed from the flower to create oil. So you've probably seen safflower oil for sale in shops and stuff like that. But also it was used, the petals of the flower, which are either yellow, orange or red, were originally used for dyeing cloth. And stuff like that. So they are you know, a very old sort of plant which is being used by humans. So I'm going to plant some. This is the first time I've grown them. Most certainly like it. They grow, sorry I forgot to tell you, they grow from about a foot high up to potentially 1.5 metres high. I'm not quite sure how tall these are going to grow, but I'll see how we go. I'm going to put some up the front, and I'm going to put some in the back as well. So I'm not quite sure how large these are going to grow, but I'm growing them for the pretty more than anything. They're quite a sort of thistly type plants. They have one main tapping root which goes down, and that tapping root enables them to live in quite arid conditions. So they'll most certainly grow well in the UK because our growing conditions are quite good. That's what the seed looks like, and it's the, sorry, can you see that? And that's the seed. This is the seed which is effectively pressed to get out the oil, which is what we effectively eat from this plant. But as I say, the petals have also been used in the past to dye cloth and other things for clothing and stuff like that. So I'm just putting them in the ground around sort of 1/2 inch or so deep. They'll probably end up. The compost is not too hard; it's quite loose. I'm hoping we're going to get off to a reasonably good start here. So I'm putting in, there's 12 in each of these, so 24. The modules are reasonably small, but I don't want to take up too much room with these. a few more there. Not sure if I've got enough seed actually. So yeah, I've just got enough to do this. I'm one short. So we'll see how we go. So I'm just going to cover those over lightly with a little bit of compost, nothing too heavy. I'm not going to push them down at all. I want to keep it reasonably nice and loose so that they grow well in there. Obviously lay them up so you know what you've got, and I'll show you them when they come out in the next couple of weeks. But these will grow reasonably big, so obviously they won't be in these modules too long. As I say, they send down a tapping root like a thistle does, so it's quite a thistle-y type plant, and the flowers are quite big, orange and red, so it should look quite pretty in the allotment. I think they're quite bushy as well, so I need to give them a reasonable amount of room to grow. But that's Safflower. Okay, so one other unusual vegetable, most certainly something I've never grown before, is Yacon. Now these have been very kindly sent to me by Tina and Jason at Allotment Upcycling, and they've sent me 3 little rhizomes here to have a go with. Now I've never grown these before, so I'm sure if you look back on Tina and Jason's videos on allotment upcycling and recycling, you'll be able to see them. So all I'm going to do is put them in a 4-inch pot for now. The reason being is I'm a little bit limited on room in the greenhouse, and I just want to put these with the Ulluco. So that's the first one, with its nose sticking out the top there. So all I'm doing really is putting a bit of compost in the bottom of the pot, spread it out to the side, and then getting the rhizome. You can see the plant there is growing already. That's effectively what's formed in the bag. So I'm just going to take a little bit of compost out of here, putting the roots all the way down to the bottom of the pot like that, so it's sat in the pot kind of like that, and then I'm just topping it up with a bit of soil so that the plant itself sticking out of the top like that, and hopefully they'll get off to a reasonably good start like that. Now that one's just kind of popping out the top there, so I'll put a label in each of these so I know exactly what they are. But I can kind of guess from the look of them, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to put this last one in. Last one's a little bit smaller, but it's got roots and a shoot, so I'm sure it'll grow. So just put that in there like that. Now, as I say, I've never grown this before, so this is most certainly an experiment for me. So I'm just going to see how they grow. Now, what I'll do is I'll put these in these pots to grow for a month or so, and then as soon as the weather gets well, better than it is at the moment, is I'll be putting these out in the ground just behind me here, along with the Ulluco, into where I was growing the ochre last year. So I'll just put these in the greenhouse, give them a bit of water, and these will grow on quite merrily for me for the next month or so. And then as soon as they get a bit bigger, they can go out into the open ground as soon as we got to the end of most certainly sort of middle of May, so there's no chance of any frost. Okay, and Tina and Jason from Allotment Upcycling have also been very kind enough to send me some Dill's Atlantic Giant Pumpkin, which apparently got to £59 last year, and they sent me some seeds of that. So this is exactly the same as the other gourds. Really all you need to do is get the... I'm able to judge from how big the seeds are. All these are massive seeds, so all being well, these should grow. I'm going to put 1 seed in each. Now what I'm going to do is grow, I think I'll grow 3 plants this year. I'll save the rest of the seed for next year. So all I'm doing is grabbing the seed like that on its side with the pot and just pushing it in. Loose compost about 2 inches down, like that, and I'll just put on there Tina and Jason's giant pumpkin. And I'll be planting these along with other stuff down the bottom. Obviously, I've already got some of the pumpkin plants over here growing. I'm just going to put one more in whilst we're here. The other pumpkins that I put in a couple of weeks ago now are reasonably big. So within a couple of weeks these will look the same. So the pumpkins I've got over here are looking like that now. As you can see, you know, they soon, you know, within 2 weeks, you know, the seeds I've just put in are going to look like that. Now pumpkins, what you most certainly need to do is give them plenty of room. Pumpkin plants will spread out potentially up to sort of 3 or 4 metres away from where the root is. And one of the biggest tips I can give you with pumpkins is when you plant the plant, put a stick next to it. Now I quite often forget to do this, to be honest with you, when I'm planting them out, but it most certainly helps because the plant gets so big. What you find is the plant goes all over the place, and you never actually know, or you can't remember or tell where the root was of the plant, so you don't know which part of the ground to water. If you put a stick in the ground and you water where the stick is, then you'll always you know where to put the water in when you water the plants. So that's the best thing, and that applies to all gourds really. I mean, things like you know, obviously cucumbers and courgettes and that, you can pretty much tell where the roots are. But if you think of things like butternut squashes or pumpkins and things like that, because they trail all over the place, and the plants are quite big, and you know, because of the size of the leaves as well, it's difficult to see where the actual root of the plant is. You'll struggle to water in the right place. So what I suggest you do is, when you plant them in the ground, put the plant in, and then just next to it, 6 inches or so away, put a stick in the ground, and then you know where to water when you come back when the plant has established itself. Okay, so it's time to do the sunflowers, if you haven't already. Now, I normally say the big sunflowers, the big sort of plate-sized sunflowers, which I had down here. But unfortunately, this year I had a mouse in the greenhouse, and he just completely stripped all the seeds out. So I managed to salvage one which was in the shed. This is the same variety. So all being well, these seeds should be okay to plant. So all you need to do is just sort of rattle your thumb through like that, and what you'll get is the seed coming out in your hand like that. Now, to plant sunflowers, you need to have sort of pots. Don't try and plant it in anything smaller than this. The reason being is they are quite fast growing, and they will very quickly. If you have them in anything sort of shallower than this, it's more the depth this way as opposed to the width. They do get pot bound quite quickly, and they suffer for that, and they don't tend to recover too well if they're like that. So what I would suggest you do is, if you're going to grow any sunflowers, start them off in pots like that. So this is just a 3.5–4 inch pot. Fill it up to the top with compost. I'm just doing a few here, and then I typically grow sort of 20 or 30 sunflowers, and they're dotted around either the garden or the allotment, because these are ideal for wildlife. You know, birds, mice really like the seed, and if you leave them in the greenhouse for them. But you know, bees really love sunflowers, and they're a great plant for, because of the size of them, they're a great plant for children to grow as well. So if you've got young children, you want to get them encouraged into gardening, sunflowers are definitely one to go for. Sunflowers and pumpkins are the two I'd say that kids like the most. So all you need to do, I'm going to put a couple of seeds in each pot. I typically put them, if you look at the seed, you've got like a pointed end, which is this end here, and then a flat end at the bottom. What I typically do is put the pointed end in first and plant them about, I don't know, 1 inch or so deep, and then just knock the compost back over. I'd put as much compost in the pot as you can. Keep it reasonably loose. And now what you can do is wait for them to grow, and then pull out the weakest one of the two. That's what I would suggest if you've got plenty of seed. There's no reason why you can't put one seed in each pot. Once I've done those. So what I'm looking for here, just so you know, I'm looking for a seed which has got you know, it's quite fat that way. Now if you get a seed which is narrow, like, not that one, I've just had one that I rejected, that one there, that one's quite narrow, the chances are that's not been pollinated. So always put in the seeds that are, you know, reasonably fat, and then you know that they've been pollinated and they'll grow on. Typically the thinner seeds won't grow, or at least you've got less chance of them growing. So always look at, you know, to make sure that the seed should be about half as wide as it is. Sorry, let me explain myself. It should be about half as wide that way as it is that way, and then you know the seed's been pollinated and that will grow. Now I'm going to be growing, just like I did last year, I'm going to be growing 2 different varieties of sunflowers. These are the giant ones which grow to about, well, up to 8 foot high, and then you get flowers on them that typically get to, some of the big ones get to kind of dinner plate size, sort of about 14 to 16 inches across. This is probably one of the smallest flowers that I had on them last year, so that's kind of the smallest, which is one that just ended up in the shed, and luckily I put that in a different place to the others because of the mouse having them. But the best way, it's my own fault, because what you should do is wait for them to dry and then take them out and put them in a brown paper bag and hang them up in your shed. But I got them in the greenhouse and kind of left them in the greenhouse too long, and the mouse ended up helping himself. So, but anyway, just put 2 in each pot like that, and then, as I say, when they start to grow, just take out, if both come, take out the weakest one of the 2, and then let them grow on. You could, I don't know, you could potentially separate the 2 and put them into 2 different pots. But so I'm just going to carry on doing this now. I'm going to put about 20 of these in. And then I'm going to put about 20 of the sort in. Now I will show you the other sort that I've got as well, which were donated. I think they actually came from, I apologise if I'm wrong, I think they came from Tina and Jason. I think they sent me the seed last year, and I've saved the seed from the ones I grew last year as well. So they're the multi-headed ones. These ones are single-headed, so you do get just one flower at the top, where the other ones are going to be growing. I'm not sure of the variety, I'm sorry, but they're like a multi-headed variety, so you get probably about, well, up to 20 flowers on each plant, and the flowers tend to be much smaller, about sort of 4 or 5 inches across. So I'll be planting those as well. I'll just do a quick clip just to show you the seed. I haven't got that in the greenhouse yet, but the seed's similar to these but dark. You know, you do get either white or black and white, or different coloured seeds, but they're all pretty much the same shape. So all I suggest you do is put the pointed end in, irrespective of what the colour is, and then they should germinate away quite nicely. Okay, so these are the obviously the seeds that you've just seen. They're the ones from the giant stuff like that. And even when the flowers get bigger, the seeds don't get much bigger than that. And these are from the multi-headed ones. You've got a bit of chaff in there as well, but basically that's the seed there. Now, in exactly the same way, plant them about 1 inch down. Look for the fatter seeds. They're the ones that are going to grow the best ones, the best, strongest plant. And then put them in pointed way down. Don't try not to put any chaff in there with them, because that'll be, if you don't know what chaff is, that's like the bits of sort of skin from around the seed that comes off as it dries. But all I'm doing is just bobbing them in, and again they're in the same size pot. These are the 4 inch pot. Now, with pretty much any sunflower, you're going to have to support it. You know, either grow it up the side of a building or some kind of structure, or you're going to need a pole up the side of them. Now, typically what I do with mine is I put an 8-foot bamboo cane up the side of them, and then that will support them to a degree. What you need to do, just in case of high winds, because when the flower head forms at the top, they do become a little bit top heavy, and that could potentially snap a bamboo cane off. So what I typically do is, about halfway up the bamboo cane, it's about 4 foot off the ground, try and put a bit more support, either put you know, like a cross a cross piece in, or a metal stake, or whatever you've got really. Ideally, if you can put them up against a fence, which is typically where sunflowers go, because they're so tall, you typically put them at the back of a border, which is where normally where there's some kind of fence or something like that. If you can anchor the bamboo cane at the top as well to the fence, that will help no end. But I'm not sure a bamboo cane will be rigid enough or strong enough to support it if you have a bad bit of wind. So that's it. I've got at least 2 seeds in each one now. I'm going to save those seeds just in case these don't germinate. All you need to do then is just cover the seeds over with the compost that you've got in there, like that, and then with an additional pot, all I do is just go back over like that. And what that does, you don't need to put too much pressure on. All you're doing is making sure that the seeds are in contact with the compost. Put a label in, and then they'll be growing on in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so the next plant I'm going to put in is Ulluco, and these are the tubers that I saved from last year. I'm going to start them off. Some of them haven't done too well on the bottom. I'm going to start them off in pots inside the greenhouse, just like I did last year. So that's what the actual pot that you eat looks like. It looks quite alien really, with the little eyes on it. But basically these grow very similar to potatoes. The problem that I had last year, why they didn't grow particularly well, was the ground that they were in wasn't overly fertile, and therefore they didn't grow particularly well. So I'm hoping this year I'm going to have a bit more success. But what I'm going to do is start them off in these pots inside the greenhouse. I'm not going to be too overly fussy with these. All I'm going to do is just get the chitted little Ulluco. And I'm going to be planting these in a different part of the allotment this year. I'm going to be growing them by the greenhouse here, where I got the Yacon last year, because I think they're going to do better there. I'm going to put plenty of manure and make the ground as fertile as I can possibly get it, which is possibly the mistake I made last year. Now this plant has got 2 edible parts on it, if you haven't grown a Ulluco before. These tubers are readily available. There's a company in Cornwall which is where I actually got the original ones for these from, and they're not overly expensive. I think they're about £5 for about 20 tubers or something like that. So anyway, you can eat the stalks, the leaves, as like a salad, which is what most people seem to enjoy with them. Or you can grow them like potatoes, and you can eat these little sort of tubers at the end of the year. Or you can do both. You can eat some of the tops and then leave them. Obviously, don't overpick the tops, and then you can sort of have the tops to eat, and then you can sort of eat the tubers from under the ground at the end of the year. Because I didn't grow so many, or I wasn't very successful with them last year, I didn't actually try to eat either the tops or the actual tubers last year, because of I was leaving them to eat the tubers at the end of the year, and then at the end of the year the tubers didn't really come to fruition because the ground was too hard and not as fertile as it perhaps should have been. But hopefully this year I'm going to give it another go, and see how we get on. So I'm just going to pot the rest of these up into the pots. I'm going to wait till the plants get to something like 6 inches high, and the shoots have just started off really nicely, and then I'll plant them out into the border behind me here, so I can hopefully get a much better crop this year than I did last year. So this is, as I say, Ulluco. I'll put the name across the bottom if you want to give this a go. But as I say, they are. I know a lot of the viewers who have put comments on the channel about these, so they really like them, particularly eating the leaves. It's a nice thing to have in a salad or whatever. So if you've not tried it before and you fancy something a little unusual, it's worth you giving these a go. So I hope this episode was of some use to you. Please don't hesitate to put any comments or questions you've got below, and I'll always get back to you, and I'll see you on the next episode of Jim's Love and Garden.